We first usually go through this deck. The deck essentially gives you an overview of the proposition, right? We start by just mentioning a few names that we have. So in the UK, no one's going to know about FWD or Income, but we have worked with Mondelez, with J&J, OCBC. They may know. Ichiban Kuji, they belong to Bandai, which is the largest toy maker in Japan, a $7 billion company. The key thing in terms of what we do in that framing our space is that we don't do bots. We do like the last mile of the bot life cycle, right? As you know, it takes a lot to build a bot. You need to do the customer experience design. You have to build it, but then this is the bit that people forget about. Which is that once you have built it, you still have to train, grow it, you have to nurture it, right? And that's usually that's where we come into play, right? We know that bots have huge potential, but we also know that most of them are underperforming, right? The difference in terms of bots that are able to deliver their potential and the bots that don't is typically in how they are trained, right? So this is a graph looking at the accuracy of the bot answers from open text, okay? And typically a bot, if you kind of like ask the open text, you are probably going to get like one third of your questions are going to be right? That's without the proper training. Once you train it well, then it will go all the way up to 90%, right? And you can actually achieve this in 2 to 3 weeks. Obviously, once you stop training, it will go down again, right? This is what we saw with our clients. So you need to keep doing it. But as long as you keep doing it, the bot is going to give you what it promised initially, right? Now, the reason why this is hard to do is because training is incredibly manual, it's painful, and also it's expensive, right? And that's why people use us because we automate that training process. With us, something that it takes you an entire month to do, you can do it in half a day, right? So the productivity gains here are gigantic. But most importantly, as we're talking about, the results are even more impressive, right? So chatbot errors are down by 75%. This means that all the other things start working much better. Live chat transfer requests down by 55%. Customer satisfaction was 1.2, is now 3.9. And sales leads are up by 400%. This actually we need to actually update these graphs. So this is from the last week. These are results from last week. This is at 1 year ago, same time 1 year ago. You see here chatbot ratings 1.3. But the other important thing is the number of unique users 983, total sessions 1,029. Okay, look at how it's now. Chatbot ratings 4.6. Yeah, unique users 1,895, total sessions 2001. Our volume has grown almost by a factor of 2. Ratings are up by 300%, 200%, 300%. That's the right metric. Yeah, and of course the more technical things, unknown intents, which is when the chatbot fails, is down to 0.85. Live chat transfers, it was something like 10%, now down to 3.35%. Yeah, it's just getting better and better. Yeah. In terms of how we do it, so again, this is fairly simple. All we need is the chat log and a knowledge base. The chat log, some customers will say that there's actually no private data in the chat log, especially if you have a bot on your website. Typically, it doesn't take any private data. But for those bots that actually deal with private data, it's very simple for IT teams to essentially filter out or anonymize any information that may be deemed private in those chat logs. And yeah, I mean, all we need is a chat log knowledge base. You feed that into our API, and we work on magic. In terms of then doing what's called the new training phases and new intent. So this is something that the clients can do or we can do, right? So if clients want to do that, we can provide them a dashboard. So this is what I'm going to show you next. And clients can essentially manage their bots using those dashboards by themselves on a self-service basis. Yeah. Now, I think that here it might be worthwhile just to kind of like explain a little bit the words that we use. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, but chat log is essentially the list of everything that the users have asked the bot. Knowledge base is the database of questions and answers that powers the bot, right? That's the heart and soul of the bot. False positives is when the bot gives an answer, but it's the wrong answer. Missed intent is when the bot just kind of like gave up and said, sorry, I don't understand, right? So there are essentially two types of errors that the bots can give, right? And whenever there's an error, we do an automated matching process, meaning that if we find that this question actually has an answer in your existing database of answers, then we're going to flag it, right? This is what we mean by utterance match to an answer in knowledge base. Utterance means what the user has keyed into the bot, right? So whenever we find a match is what is called a new training phrase. But for many other situations, people are asking things for which the bot simply doesn't have any answer. And for those situations, you really need to create a new answer. It's like, for example, there's a new disease, I don't know, Delta variant, right? And COVID Delta variant. And people are asking about, what shall I do about the, Delta variant? And the thing is that, the bot hasn't, the teams haven't had the time to, teach the bot what Delta variant is and what kind of answers it should give. So in those situations, you need to, there's nothing that the bot can do. There's nothing that we can do. But what we are able to do is essentially, flag it and get the internal teams of our clients to, write an answer for that specific question, right? And that's what you call a new intent. And that goes to the database of frequently asked questions. It's called knowledge base, right? Once you have that, you upload it back to your bot's knowledge base, existing knowledge base, and it only takes like 2 or 3 iterations. Your bot is working much, much better. Yeah. Listen, this is kind of like a very, very high level explanation, but it's also, I can actually show what kind of files people usually have to deal with, what clients have to deal with in order to, do this process, right? Other things that we are able to do is also look at, at a higher level, what is it that the people are asking your bot, right? So we can categorize, we can essentially classify those questions by themes, by topics, right? So here at a higher level, you see here like themes that's like people are interested in products, so they ask questions about products. And then people are asking questions about claims, about other people who ask questions about the terms and conditions, right? So you can see here that we can essentially identify very, very clearly the percentages and what's trending up or down, right? But yeah, I mean, so the first screen that people see whenever they get in is that it's like the metrics of how your bot is doing, right, week to week. So you can come here, you can select, what week you are looking at. But this is where you can get the metrics in terms of number of thumbs down, sales leads, false positives, so on and so forth, right? The other one, this is actually the most important screen, is this one. This is where you see what people have asked the bot, the answer that the bot gave, and then when that answer is wrong, we kind of like flag it up and we give our own answer, okay? So for example, here the question was, my card is wrongly charged, can you help? Okay, the response the bot gave is, there's no additional cost for using MediGuide. It's a benefit that comes with your cancer insurance. You can clearly see that this is the wrong answer, right? But of course, for you to kind of like, I not, teach the bot this is the wrong answer, you actually have to read it one by one. So what we do is essentially automate this whole thing and we flag it whenever we know that the bot is giving the wrong answer. And when the bot gave the wrong answer, then we have a shot at figuring what is the right answer, right? So in this case, we actually found a match, which is called, I'm sorry, your card has been charged wrongly. Please provide your bank or card statement showing the wrong charge and email us at contact@fg so we can investigate on your behalf. So you can see this is the right answer. We can even we actually give the reference number of this answer, so that it's very, very easy for clients to teach the bot that hey, whenever people ask this, then feed them this answer. So if you agree with this answer, then you just click use this tick box, and it will go straight to the knowledge base. If you want to edit it, because sometimes it's not the right one, and you want to change the right intent, then you click on the edit button. And if it's totally wrong, then you click X. Okay. So in terms of stats, typically our model gives 85% accuracy, which means that every time that we find a false positive, that tends to be 85% correct. And so when you give an answer, that actually tends to be higher, 87. Well, it goes from 77 to 87%, depending on the weeks. And yeah, so obviously it's not 100%, but between that and having to do this one by one manually, you obviously want to have something like this, right? Now, the guys who are kind of like going to look for more technical information. So these are the guys who are kind of like thinking about, okay, this sounds good, but how am I actually going to use it, right? How is it that I really load data and download data and all those kind of things? So for that, typically, I mean, ideally we would use the APIs, but if clients want to kind of like test it first, we have an interface where you can upload. It's called your knowledge base, your chat logs, and your entities. I'll write a paper on this. The reason why our natural language understanding module is very different to anything else that's in the market is because ours is rules-based as opposed to pure machine learning, right? And just by saying this, people will get it. Okay, this is different because it's very, very different. There's nothing like our module in the entire world, right? This is why we're getting a patent because of it. In terms of then what it means in terms of detecting this. So this is the kind of more detailed description that I usually show to data scientists, and when people look at this, they get it. And what this is saying is that when people ask a question and the bot gives an answer, what we do is we compare the question with the answer in terms of the intents and objects, right? Which is something here. It's called intents and objects. Now, what we're able to do, the thing that is very unique to us, is that we are able to extract or predict the intent and the objects from these sentences without training data. That is absolutely unique. No one else can do this, right? And because we are able to do that, we then able to very quickly compare the question and the answer and come up with it's called a matching score, right? Yeah. Where if that score is too low, then it means that typically it's equivalent of a low confidence score. Then it means that this is the wrong answer, right? And it's the wrong answer. You can intuitively get that it's wrong answer because when you look at this, the intent is loose, the object is the pin or GAE, whatever you want to call it. And then when you look at the answer, they only talk about the pin, but not the intent. So this is kind of like a big thing missing in this question and answer, right? So that's why the score is so low. And then we go out and find a better answer in their knowledge base, and we found this answer where it says the GA pin is issued on once only and will not be replaced if lost. Okay, so you see here there's an intent lost here, plus the pin number, and this is why the score is higher, and this is how we know that actually this answer is a much better answer than this one. So this is something that I've done for another POC. So you're kind of like very just by running a POC, you can very quickly see how effective the algorithm is in terms of identifying what's called false positives, right? So at first pass with this particular client, we got 80% recall, 78% precision. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with these metrics, but these are the type of things that people reference. I mean, let me know if you want to go into the detail of that. But typically, if you say that your F1 score is 0.79, that is amazing, right? That is an amazing stat, right? And yeah, I mean, in terms of also kind of like finding the matches, the answers, we also have very strong stats. And as I tell clients, the proof is the pudding, right? So you just test this out. I mean, there's no way we can lie. And it doesn't take you too much to just give it a try. And once you see it, you will know whether this is something that's going to be useful to you or not.